Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Ask Mr Tillandsia. We're here today on a beautiful day in sunny Torrance, California. And question number 1 is from Christina. And Christina says, I'm not good at killing air plants, but I can never get mine to thrive and grow. Any tips? Well, Christina, how much time do you have? We have lots of tips. Number 1. It likes bright light. It doesn't need direct sun, but they like bright light. That's 99% of their food source right there. Number 2, make sure that it's getting enough water. How to do that? Well, that depends on if you have it inside the house or outside. If it's inside, have a container filled with bottled drinking water with a lid so the water doesn't evaporate. And take your tilly once a week and dunk it for 5 seconds, or maybe twice a week if it's dry and hot. And dunk it for about 5 seconds, take it out upside down for a couple seconds, and put it back. That should be enough. And it should grow if it's getting enough light. If it's outside, well, just hit it with a hose whenever you water. It's hard to overwater outside unless it's very hot and very humid, or cold and humid. But most conditions, in the summertime especially, you can water them as often as you want, and they do great. Okay, number 2 comes from Tyler. He says, I grew up in Venice, California, and didn't know you had a nursery there. What's the history of Rainforest Flora and its nursery locations? Well, Tyler, that's another book right there, because we've been doing this 43 years, so there's a lot of water that's gone under that bridge. We started back in 1974, and started out as Mr Tillandsia out of my backyard in Venice. And then it turns out there was a competitor, and he turned us into the building department. And so we had to move, and then we ended up with a place in Palms on Venice Boulevard, and we were there for a year and a half, and then we outgrew that. We moved to Mar Vista. We were there for a year and a half. We outgrew that. Well, actually, that place got turned into senior citizens apartments. So we moved the greenhouse from that property. It was 18,000 feet. Beautiful steel and glass greenhouse that originally was built in the 1920s back in Biddeford, Maine. It was moved out to Southern California after World War II because the Japanese produce growers couldn't get wood to build greenhouses. So they had this one taken apart in Maine, like a big erector set. They had to put back together again in Mar Vista. That was in 1948. Then in 1978, we took it apart and we moved it to Gardena. And we rebuilt it, we refinished it piece by piece, put it back together. It took a year, and we were there for 21 years. And then we had to move. That's another long story. So we found another place here in Torrance, and we moved here in the year 2000, so that's 17 years ago. And we've been here ever since. In the process of that, we also acquired 2 nurseries in North County, San Diego. One about 1989, it's 8.5 acres, and one 2.5 acres in a part of Fallbrook called Rainbow. And that's where we do most of our growing, because as you know, Tillandsias take a while to grow. So we have a lot of plants growing down there. Okay, so I hope that's enough for you. Number 3, Cheryl, that's a quick question. Can I use aquarium water for my tillies? And the answer is yes. Aquarium water has lots of nutrients in it, and you should be able to water them with that just fine. Again, I would have a container with the aquarium water in it and dunk the plants rather than misting them. I think it's better if they get really wet and then the water runs off when you turn it upside down. And then Irina, she asked, what's the best type of water to use for Tillandsias? Well, you have aquarium water, but most people don't have fish. So, unfortunately, because fish are great too. But you can use bottled drinking water, or rainwater is the best. If you live in an area where your city waters doesn't have high pH, has a lower pH, then you can use that. But most city water is pretty hard at an alkaline of 7 or 8, and that's, these plants like a lower pH, around 5.5 or 6. So if you get just bottled drinking water, you have your container, you have a lid on it, the water doesn't evaporate, you can use that same water for years, and you can probably make an argument that these plants use less water than any other plants on Earth. I mean, you can make a little container of water lasts for a long time. So, and then Sean asked a question about stags. How do you get the moss to stay on the fern mounts? That's a good question, Sean. You can use fishing line, which makes it pretty invisible, and you can just staple it to the board or whatever you're putting it on and go back and forth. Or we use bird netting, which is about, a little over 1/2 inch squares of black netting, and you can put that over the sphagnum moss and staple that down, and that works as well. So, I've burned through all the questions for today, and I hope all of you are having fun out there. Go through life, live hardy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.